Hey everybody, Polka Dad here. So in this study video, what I am going to be doing is I'm going to be looking at um, my in position play. So what I did here is I did a filter where I am in the button, and the the player who raised first in is in the under the gun or the middle position. And I have either called their bet or I have three bet. So I want to take a look at these hands and just take a look and see how I am performing and if I'm playing aggressively enough in position, since I want to be playing most of my hands in position aggressively. So let's go take a look here. So let's see. So the first hand here, I have ace ace, and the under the gun raised, and I three bet them, and they called. And let's see here. So we have Jack 10-2, under the gun checks, and I raise here with top pair, and he calls. So I think that's definitely what I want to be doing here, of course. Under the gun checks, and I continue the aggression here by betting again, and he calls again, again with top pair. And here on the river, under the gun checks, and I decide to shove all in, which my opponent calls here, and I end up taking it down with my aces. So this was a definitely a good example of playing aggressive in position. Here we have ace king, and under the gun raises, and I three bet him, and he calls. Um, Under the gun then checks to me, so I of course am going to throw out a c bet. I threw out a pot size c bet, um, and my opponent folded here. So definitely again playing aggressive in position. Here I have ace king, and the middle position raises, and I three bet, middle position calls, so we got position. Um, Middle position checks to me, and I bet half pot, in which he calls. So I think this is okay to bet here, and show some aggression, especially on a board like this. The turn is ace of spades, and my opponent checks, and again I do decide to bet. I decide to be aggressive here in position, with with top pair and a flush draw, because he can definitely fold here. And my opponent calls, and then once again my opponent checks, and I decide to continue my aggression, and my opponent calls, and unfortunately we lost this one, due to him having a nine of spades. This was a couple days ago, I remember. But again, I don't think I played it completely wrong, because of the fact that when we're talking about position, I'm not looking at poker math right now. Of course, I'm just speaking about just position in general. Obviously, when we have poker math involved, that changes things considerably. And of course, we know that, because I actually went over this hand in my poker math videos, that this was not a good play. But that's beside the point. I'm just looking specifically for spots to be playing, that I should be playing aggressively in position. And definitely the flop was a good spot to play aggressively in position. Here I have ace king again, and I three bet, and we're in position. And see, this is a perfect spot here where being in position helps, because when under the gun bets into me here, I could easily fold and not have to lose any money on this particular pot when he decides to donk bet into me here. So again, I had an advantage here, because of how my opponent played the hand out of position. If my opponent would have checked to me, I would have bet. He would have made more money. So that was a mistake on his part by checking into me here, especially with me being the pre-flop aggressor and him being out of position. Here on this particular play, again, we three bet, of course. So on this spot here, I was not aggressive, and I think that this, of course, was a mistake. I should have been aggressive here. So this is obviously something I shouldn't be checking. Then here on the turn, when under the gun bets, now I put myself in a really tough spot. I do decide to call, because I have two pair, but my opponent could of course easily have a hand like unlikely, of course, but queen 10 is always a possibility for them, especially if it's queen 10 suited, which they could raise and then call. So I obviously having two pair here, betting in position is the right play. Where if I was out of position, I could definitely see check calling or even check raising. And then of course on the river, when he checks, of course I'm going to bet, and hopefully it's for value, and he folds. Here we just have a simple situation where I 3-bet. This is a spot where we have a multi-way pot, where I raised, and we have 3 players in on the flop here. And of course, this is a great spot in position. Being a multi-way pot, if this were a heads up, I could think about actually betting here just to get a fold. But being a multi-way pot, I think checking is fine here all the way down. Here I have ace king once again, and I raise, and this is all in, so it's actually probably not a great example. Let's see here. Here's ace queen. So here we have position on 2 plays. So under the gun limps, middle position raises to 3 big blinds, cutoff raises to 2 big blinds. We call the cutoffs raise, and now we're in a situation here where the flop is 3-6-6, cutoff checks. So we can, I think we can definitely bet here, but when the when the turn comes and cutoff checks, this is definitely, I think, a great spot to bet here. So this is a spot that I did not take advantage of my position, and I definitely could have to be able to win the pot there on the turn, and avoid any cards that might make things a little bit tougher, like for example a 4 coming out and me not being able to bet for value, or bet at all here. So I definitely think that a bet could have happened here in position. Let's see, this particular, let's see where we are. I don't want to make this video too long. I'm going to make this video a total of 10 minutes here. So let's just go find a few more hands besides things with aces. So let's see, this particular hand here, middle position raises, cutoff calls, and we call in position versus 3 players. And I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Check, check, we have position, bet with top pair. So if we were out of position here, we would definitely check it. Here we have Jack, Jack, and middle position raises. We 3-bet. Middle position raises again, and we call. And when middle position checks, again, we have position. This is definitely a great spot just to bet here. So I definitely missed an opportunity by not betting here. I should have definitely bet in position. And then once again, the turn, he checks, and then we definitely are going to bet. So I definitely missed an opportunity to bet there. So let's see, a6 suited here, middle position raises, and we call. Middle position checks here. So when he checks, again, because I'm in position, I actually could throw out a bet here. Maybe throw out I don't know the size bet I should be throwing out, but I can definitely throw out a bet here. Then on the turn, when a 9 comes out, the middle position bets, and I decided to call here. I'm not really sure why I decided to call. I don't know why I called here, but here is a perfect example. Like, okay, well, I should have definitely bet here, but here I could definitely just fold because, at this point, there's no having position. I could fold and get out of this hand and lose a minimal amount of money. Here we have 8s here. This is going to be the last thing I'm going to show. Middle position raises, and we call. And here we are, flop in position, middle position check. So again, this is a spot I could absolutely bet here and just get a fold here, being in position. And on the turn, middle position checks, and this time now I can definitely bet here, and middle position calls. So you could even take a look at the situation here where he checks and I bet. Maybe if I bet here, I can get a fold, where now maybe it's a little bit tougher. Now, he doesn't believe I have kings, and, Now he, any kind of king, and I've taken kings out of my range by not betting. So also by not betting, I've also reduced my range as well when he is hand reading me. So obviously then, again, bet and then check on the river puts me in kind of a tough spot here when he decides to bet there. But here I definitely just could have gotten a fold right here from the get go. So anyway, that's my video for in position for looking at my hands in position. Just doing some studying and doing some courses now, so I want to make some videos before I move on to the next session to make sure I understand what it is that I am learning. So if you like what you saw, please subscribe, and until next time, Poker Dad out.